to my channel. I know it has been a while. I've been all over the places with my content, but it's all right. It's all right. I'll do better. So today I am here with my beautiful friend ID from
Idyllic
Idyllic
ID.
ID.
So guys, visit my page at Idyllic ID. There I speak mostly on relationships and life coach in general. So if you want such content, please visit my page Idyllic ID.
Okay, so we just finished a video on her channel, and the title of the video was instances of sexual assault that you might be making or being a victim of without knowing that it's actually sexual assault. So that video is really, really informative, and we just wanted to round it up here, making something that is also similar. In this video, we'll be talking about when someone cannot give consent, or when consent
Cannot
is
be given.
considered invalid. Even if someone gives you consent under these circumstances, that consent doesn't stand, both everywhere and in courts. So let's start. Our first instance of when consent cannot be given is when the person that you seek consent from is intoxicated, whether it's through drugs or alcohol. If the person is intoxicated, we are used to saying, let me get her drunk, let me make her drink, with the hope that she's going to loosen up and you're
Not with
going
the
to
hope.
have
Drink
fun.
actually makes one losing up.
Hmm.
Drink impairs your judgment.
Okay.
So even when you don't want to, but because you have something about alcohol, I don't know the chemistry, but
Hmm.
when you take it, you kind of, you know, a lot of women have experienced it. I'm very, very sure it's not alien. Like it's something we all know. That's
Mm-hmm.
why a lot of guys will tell you drink more. When you go out with a guy, you'll be hearing drink more. And this is
Hmm.
something a lot of youths should be mindful of.
Hmm.
When you're out with a guy and you hear take now, need to drink more. You don't want red wine. Let me bring beer and all that. The
Yes,
guy is up to
really
something.
common. It's
Yes, it's
really
really, really
common.
common. The
And
guy is up.
he's doing that with the intention that once you're drunk, you're going to give, or once you're tipsy, you're going to give consent. We are just letting everybody know that that type of consent does not stand. That consent is not consent. Then also, if that person is impaired or incapacitated because of drugs, or it doesn't have to be alcohol, even if it's a medication that is like a prescribed medication that tampers with the person's ability to reason properly.
Some people give sleeping drugs. They just drug lace your drink so that you would sleep and they would have their way with you.
Hmm. So
That is not consent.
even if she's okay, that's another instance. If
Yeah.
someone is asleep or sleepy
And
or
I talked about
sleeping.
this in one of my videos.
Okay.
I was talking about
Rape in marriage.
raping. No, not raping marriage. That's Do you know that rape occurs in marriages?
Of course.
A lot of people say, woman, where I don't pay bride price for, you were talking about rape. It sounded, why I'm laughing is that I mentioned this topic to a group of guys, and this is the reaction they gave me. How I go rape my wife.
You see?
Oh my god. Anyway, that was not the video I was talking about. There's another video on if rape victims experience sexual arousal, like
Mm-hmm.
if they actually enjoy. A lot of people say rape victims enjoy rape, so that was what the video was actually about.
Mm.
I talked about this. So if somebody is drugged, like the person is sleeping, definitely there will be no violence. I was talking
Mm-hmm.
about, sometimes people just feel that once you talk about rape, that means the person did not struggle. Why didn't you struggle? Why are there no bruises? Why is everywhere okay? Why is everywhere arranged? There was no struggle, so you were not raped. But that is not the case.
So even if the person doesn't give consent, even if the person's body physically is
Response
conducive or responds to whatever you are doing,
doesn't mean the person gave consent.
yes.
Even if the person gave consent and then becomes like intoxicated
Mm-hmm.
or drugged, maybe you want the person. A lot of guys believe that when women drink alcohol, like we said
They will
earlier on, they
loosen
will
up.
loosen up. You now give the person no longer herself or himself. So
Mm-hmm.
this is not gender specific. It could go both
Mm-hmm.
ways. no, the person not himself or herself, then you now have your way. That's, to me, you have breached whatever contract you guys had. Let the person has to be in his or her full awareness before we can consider the consent valid.
Thank you. And another
Because
mistake
somebody
people
can
make
change
is,
their mind.
yes, consent has to be continuous.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can consent to making out to you or making out with you, and then you want to take whatever it is to another stage. Consent has to be continuous. Someone might agree to have sex with you, and then you're forcing that person to have anal sex with you. That was not what the person consented to. So you have to check in with it. Like in the midst of everything, you have to check in with the person. Oh, can we try this? Can we do this? Is it okay if we do this? Consent has to be continuous. That's a very, very important one too. So even if someone agrees and at some point the person says, I don't want this, stop, or no, no is no. Consent has to be continued. So
Yeah. Another group of people that cannot give consent are children. Children
or anybody that is underage,
underage.
whatever that age is in
I think in
the
Nigeria,
country.
yeah, in Nigeria is 18. So 17 and a half, don't go. Am I being
My
too
birthday is
extreme?
tomorrow. 18th birthday is tomorrow.
Don't.
Mm-mm.
That is
That's
not,
a child.
yes, until that person has turned 18. That is in
Mm-hmm.
this country. I don't know what it is for other countries, but check out with your country. Because before they make these laws, they have, studied the growth in,
Each
in those
country,
countries. So
yes.
they know the age to peg it. In
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, it is 18. An 18-year-old is an adult. So 17 and a half, I'm 17 three quarter. Don't go. That person did not give you consent.
So when we're even talking about we're talking about consent to not just sex. We're covering the whole of sexual assault. So we're not just talking about when you're having like a sexual relationship with the person. Any form of sexual assault in the absence of consent is an assault. If consent is
Can
not
you give
given, it is
assault
an
to us?
assault.
Can you give consent to assault?
Kissing somebody by force, fingering somebody, um, grabbing someone's private parts, all those things,
Groping.
groping, all those things are assaults, and it still applies to when consent is not given. If any of this situation applies, then that consent is invalid, and what you're doing is an assault. Another instance, wait, we jotted it down. I don't forget. Hold on. Intoxicated. Oh, oh God, this one. Consent is not valid if that person feels threatened in any way.
Anyway.
When I mean in any way, if that person feels threatened or forced, or if that person is doing it, just feeling threatened in any way, that consent is invalid. If you're threatening to hurt someone or blackmail someone or whatever it is, if the person feels threatened in any way at all, that consent is not consent, and you're actually sexually assaulting the person.
Yeah, as somebody that you have um how do I put it, like an authority over, like a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
like your boss in the office,
Mm-hmm.
you feel assaulted, and because you know that this person has the authority to do something that might affect you
Maybe
negatively,
your career
your
or you in
career,
any
and
way.
then you now decide, because the person just keeps on tolerating the assault
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Uh, that is a clear example. Or someone with more authority, like your pastor, someone that they respect, like a
Mm-hmm.
mentor or a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if a person feels threatened in any way, no, but there are also physical threats now.
Of
Like, the
course.
person will kill you if I don't
Yes.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to talk about this one that are very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
That is not consent.
Mm-hmm. And you might just feel like, okay, I feel threatened, then I said yes. So because I said yes, I gave consent. If you said yes because you were threatened,
You did not give
that
consent.
consent is invalid. You did not give consent. You have been assaulted, and that is a crime against you.
Yeah. Disabled people.
Oh man.
like somebody that cannot walk,
Mm-hmm.
person is not going to struggle. Where is the person going to run to?
Or even people that are mentally unstable.
Yes. We see a lot of mad women, pregnant mad women. I used to wonder,
So
why are
if you
you raping a pregnant mad
not even raping,
a
even if a mad person or a mentally challenged person tell you, okay, that is still not consent because the person is not mentally okay to give.
Well, even you that is going to a mad person, are you mentally okay like that? Some of them are very dirty looking, It's not like in the West where they have homes. There are homes in Nigeria for like psychiatric hospitals for people that are mentally deranged. But there are some that walk on the road.
Mm.
They are very dirty, they look very dirty, they are unkept, and you see them next moment they are pregnant.
Even if we don't go all the way to people that are completely like unstable and on the road, people who have any mental issues that at
Cannot
that
give
moment they
consent.
cannot give consent. Consent given under those conditions are
Are not
not
consent.
consent. So please beware so that you will not be committing a crime without knowing. And we
Yeah.
are actually talking about this because from conversations with people, there are instances where people do not know that what they are doing is wrong. They'll be like, ah, but she agreed. She agreed, but she's underage. So her consent does not stand. Ah, she agreed. She agreed, but she's going through something that's making her not to be herself at that time. And you know you're taking advantage of her. Ah, she agreed, but you know she's tipsy and she's not fully aware of what's happening in her surroundings. All those instances, she agreed,
For
but
sure.
you know that if she doesn't agree, her job is at stake, her family, her source of income is at stake, her education is at stake, her reputation is at stake. All those instances, she agreeing, she's
No
not,
consent.
her consent is not consent. You are actually sexually assaulting that person.
Even an unconscious person cannot give consent.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said earlier on, somebody that
That would,
I think it's done.
mm,
Somebody that is unconscious, maybe you drop the person or the person was very tired and asleep, or no, maybe because of some health challenges or something like some nurses that assault people in the hospital. I've heard some weird stories like that. Somebody is unconscious or on life support. Um, there's a story that was popular like 2 or 3 months ago on Facebook. This guy was the one taking care of the like a godmother, I think the adopted mother or something like that.
mm,
And the next thing, her stomach started swelling. She was actually in a coma,
mm-hmm.
and nobody believed this guy could do that. The guy was her primary caregiver, and then the lady's stomach started swelling, and she actually somehow gave birth, and it was found that the father of the child is the caregiver giver. So an unconscious person cannot give consent. These things are very weird.
And
It
again,
shouldn't
remember,
happen.
consent is continuous. So even if
Yeah.
maybe you were dating that person and then the person is in any of these states we mentioned, you cannot rely on the consent that was given then and take any actions. What you're doing is wrong, and that consent doesn't stand. So
Yeah.
I think that's all we have to share with you guys today. So we're expecting all of us to do better, just creating awareness and doing our parts. Remember to go to ID's channel so that you see the previous video that we just made, and you also see the video she made about um,
If rape
do rape
victims
victims enjoy the experience just
sexual
because their bodies
responded to it.
respond to it. So that's very relatable. She has other interesting videos you should check out. So I'll see you guys very soon. Bye. Contents.
Yes, I begin the dress. So